So hello guys, welcome back. So as a part of this video, I'm gonna tell you what is Sdlc waterfall model. So before we do the last video, I have already talked about what is the Sdlc life cycle model and what are the phases are there. And there are few models we have discussed about the last video, like waterfall model, spiral model, then V&V model, then agile model, then prototype model, etc. etc. So today video, I am gonna tell you what is waterfall model in Sdlc model. So let's talk about what is the waterfall model. So the name says that the model is looks like a waterfall. So that's why this model name is waterfall model. So I am going to see one phase structure on the model structure, so that you guys can very easy to understand that how the names come as a waterfall model. But before that, I'm just telling you what is the waterfall model. So I have documented few things as you guys, it will really helpful to you. So the waterfall model was the first process model. Waterfall model is the first process model. So in the software development life cycle or SDLC's model, the waterfall model is the first model. It is also referred to as a linear sequential life cycle model. Why the name comes up linear sequential life cycle model? Because in the waterfall model phase, in the development process, begin only if the previous phase is complete. That means now I'm gonna show you few stages of waterfall model. So this is the waterfall model. In the waterfall model, we can see that there are few stages as there, like requirement gathering and analysis, system design, implementation or coding, testing, then deployment, and then maintenance. So there are 6 phases are there in the waterfall model. And guys, I already told you that why the names come waterfall model. Why the name is waterfall? Because as you guys can see that all the phases are showing like, looks like as a waterfall, so that's why the names is coming like that, waterfall model. Okay, so before talking about all the details one by one, let's complete that what is SDLC waterfall model. Then it is also referred to as a linear sequential life cycle model. Then the third point is that it is very simple to understand and use. As a waterfall model is a very simple and very easy to understand. Why? I'll tell you later. Then the fourth point is saying that in waterfall model, each phase must be completed before the next phase can begin, and there is no overlapping in the phases. Means this is the waterfall model. Suppose I am on the testing phase. Let's say I am on the testing phase. If I am on the testing phase, that means we can tell that already implementation or coding phase done, right? So when I am on the testing phase, I cannot revert back to the implementation or coding phase. Okay, that's why it's saying that in the waterfall model, each phase must be completed before the next phase. That means one phase will be complete, then the next phase will be start. When the requirement gathering on analysis phase will be complete, then the system design will be start. So that is the process like in waterfall model. So that's why I'm saying that in waterfall model, each phase must be completed before the next phase can begin, and there is no overlapping in the phases. Okay. The next point is that the waterfall model is the earliest SDLC approach that was used for software development. As I've already told you that waterfall model is the first process model. Okay, so that means in the earliest SDLC approach is the waterfall model. Okay, and the last point is that the waterfall model illustrates the software development process in a linear sequential flow. As you guys, I have already told you that the name of waterfall model is linear sequential life cycle model, right? So why the name is linear sequential life cycle model? Because this means that any phases in the development process begins only if the previous phase is complete. So in this waterfall model, the phase do not overlap. That means when one phase is running, then all the phases is not working. They will freeze or they will fixed. When the requirement gathering and analysis phase will begin, then the other phase will seated, right? So that is the thing on the waterfall model. So now you guys can very clear about what is waterfall model, and for your helpful I have already mentioned some few points, so you guys can see all the point and you guys can remember. And the next point is that what is the phases of waterfall model? Like there are 6 phases are there in waterfall model. One is requirement gathering and analysis. Second one is system design. Third one is implementation or coding. Fourth one is testing. Fifth one is deployment, and sixth one is maintenance. So as you guys seen my last video in Sdlc, where I have clearly talked about the Sdlc phases. Okay, so there is same like all the phases are same like. Okay, so if you guys already see my video, you can easily connect with both of these waterfall model phases and Sdlc life cycle phases. So if you guys not seen my videos till now, I'm requesting you that please see the last video, Sdlc video, or either I am giving the link in my description box, so you guys can check from there also. Now, so what is the requirement gathering and analysis or phases of waterfall model? So I am showing you one picture. So that is the flow in waterfall model. First one is requirement gathering and analysis. When it will be done, then the next page will comes up. The name is system design. When it will done, then the third page is coming, implementation or coding. Then fourth page is testing. Then fifth page is deployment, and the sixth page is maintenance. So that is the flow in the waterfall model. And why the name is waterfall model, I have already told you. Okay, now what is requirement gathering and analysis? In the requirement gathering and analysis phase, capture all the requirements. Do brainstorming and walk through to understand the requirements. And the third is that do the requirement feasibility test to ensure that the requirement are testable or not. Means requirement gathering and analysis. Let's say, suppose there is a client or there is a customer. I'm giving my example. Let's say, suppose this is a client or customer and this is a company. Let's say it's a customer and this is the company. Now thing is that what will be in the process of requirement gathering analysis? Means the customer will give some requirement to the company, right? First of all, customer want to make some software or make some application. Okay, that's why he contacted with some company. Let's say the company name is A and the customer name is B. Okay, so then customer B will connect with the company A and he gives some requirement to the company. Okay, now that means in the company's BA or PA, means business analyst or product analyst, they will collect the requirement from the customer. Okay, so in the phase of requirement gathering and analysis means the company will collect the requirement from the customer. Okay, and they will do brainstorming and walk through to understand the requirements, right? And after that, what is the meaning of analysis? Means suppose the customer says that the requirement already given, then customer says that my time will be 30 days. Let's say 30 days. In the 30 days, you have to complete my requirement or you have to complete my application. And the budget will be, let's say, $1,000. Let's say the budget will be $2,000. Okay. So then, and they told the company like that, my application's language will be, let's say, PHP. Suppose they have given some set of bundle of requirement to the company. There are many more requirements are there, but as the example, I'm just giving you some basic idea. Okay. So then the customer given this requirement to the company. Then what will do? First, company's BA or PA, they will collect the requirement from the customer. Okay. Then they will note down all the requirements, and after that they will say, that means after business analyst or product analyst or the company's management, they will sit together in the internally. Okay. They will sit internally. Then they will discuss all the things that internally, means the 30 days is possible to complete the software, or $2,000 is enough to complete the software, or the language they have told, I mean customer told the language to PHP. So is that possible to do the PHP language, or is there any resources are available? Like many things are there. So they will, the company will analyze all the things. That's why my first point is that requirement gathering and analysis. First, they will capture, or company's BA or PA will capture all the requirements. Then they do brainstorming and walk through to understand the requirement. And the third point is that do the requirements feasibility test to understand, to ensure that the requirements are testable or not. Many more things are there. Okay, so that is the requirement gathering and analysis part. Now, what is the second point? The second point is that system design. System design means there are two types of designer there. One is HLD and one is LLD. HLD means high level document or high level design document, and the LLD means low level design. So what is the difference between HLD and LLD, or what is the HLD and LLD? Guys, I'm giving you a very basic example. Let's say, suppose I am opening one site called Flipkart. Let's say Flipkart. What will happen? I am opening one site Flipkart. Now, what do you mean by HLD? HLD means as a user, I am visible. What I am visible in front. Okay, so that is called HLD. Means I am seeing this one. Let's say this is the page and this page is visible to me. It's a very high level. Okay, that means what part or what is visible to us directly is nothing but a HLD or a high level. Okay, and low level means suppose there is one drop down like that fashion. So when I am hovering on the, when I am doing mouse over on the fashion, then few items showing are there. That means that is not visible in the first time when I am open the site or when I am open the application. That is not visible to us. Only this page is visible to me, right? And when I am doing hovering anyone, there is few extra designer there. Like when I'm hovering on the more or anything, when I'm clicking on the login, then one model is appearing. So that is all about low level design. So now you guys can understand that what is high level design and what is low level design. So in the system design phase, there is two type of designing is there. One is HLD and the second one is LLD. HLD means high level design and LLD means low level design. So what will happen on the system design? As per the customer requirements, create the design. What is the customer requirements? Based on the customer requirement, the designing team or the architect, they will create some design. Then capture the hardware or software requirement. So we have to capture the hardware and software requirements. What is the requirement for the hardware and software? And then document the design. Then we have to document the design. Our architect or designer, they will make the HLD or and LLD as per customer requirement. That is the system design phase. And the next point is that implementation or coding. The naming says that we have to make some code. Client has given some requirement to us, right? Client has given some requirement to the company. Then what will happen? Designer will make some design, make some high level design or low level design. After completing the design part, then the developer will develop something. They will develop to build or to make the software. So in the implementation or coding phase, as per the design, create the programs or code, right? Then second point is that integrate the codes for the next phase. For the next phase, we have to integrate the code. And the third point is unit test of the code. Why the unit testing of the code? So in my next video, I talked about in details what about unit testing. But as of now, unit testing means that suppose developer writes written some code and the code is working perfectly fine or not. Who will check? The developer will check. So when developer will check or when developer will test something, that is called unit testing, right? So in the implementation or coding phase, as per the design, create the programs or code, then integrate the codes for the next phase, and then unit testing of the code. Okay, now clear. The next point is that the next phase is that testing. Testing means after completing the coding, after completing the unit test by the developer, then they will hand over the software or application to the testing team. Then what will do? Testing team will test the application thoroughly. They will do various kinds of testing like regression testing, smoke testing, sanity testing, integration testing, performance testing, means functional testing and non-functional testing. So in my in my later video, I will tell you all the things in very easy way. So don't worry about that. In the testing page, I am just telling you that what we will do in the testing phase. First point is that integrate that unit tested code and test it to make sure if it is working as expected or not. That means when we are testing something, when the test engineer or when the testing team will test something, that will be matched with the customer requirements. In my previous video, I already told you guys, the developer will develop the application as per the client's requirement or customer requirement. The same thing is for the testing team. The testing team will test the requirement as per the customer requirement. That is the first criteria. After customer requirement, the testing team will do various kinds of testing like functional testing, non-functional testing, the non-functional testing, performance testing, security testing, many testing they can do. But first point is that my client's requirement or my customer requirements is working perfectly fine or not. That is the first thing. So that's why integrate the unit tested code and test it to make sure if it is working as expected or not. Okay. Now second point is that perform all the testing activity. I've already told you that functional testing, non-functional testing. Perform all the testing activity to make sure that the system meets the requirement. Clear? The third point is that in case of any anomaly, report it. When we are testing something, when you are testing the application, if there is any bug or any defect, then first we have to report that. Then the developer can fix that code and again we can testing that. Right? Fourth point is that track your progress on testing through tool likes testability matrix or ALM. So testability matrix or ALM is the tracking process tool where we can track our progress on the total testing. right? Then number 5, report your testing activity. We have to report our testing activity to whom? To my QA manager or testing manager or my team lead, right? So or my client or my customer, I have to report my testing activity, that how many test cases I have passed and how many test cases I have failed, right? So that is the testing phase of waterfall model. And the next phase is that deployment. What will be done in deployment? First point, make sure that the environment is up. Deployment means when the testing is passed, means the test engineer test all the criteria, they matches all the client's requirement, and if they green signal, if the testing team sign off the application, means all are working perfectly fine, then obviously we have to deploy the application to UAT environment or production environment as per the client or customer requirement or customer request. So we have to deploy that. So first point is that make sure that the environment is up. The second point is that make sure that there is no save one defects open. Means we have to make sure that there is no severity defects open. Means severity means the impact of business. If there any bug that is impacting my business scenarios, that is called severity. So in my later video, I talked about severity in very details. But as of now, severity means the impacting of the business scenario. If there is any bug that is impacting my business scenario, if that is, then defects should be open. Make sure that there is no severity defects open, right? Third point is that make sure that the test exit criteria are met. So what is the test exit criteria? We have to meet, right? Fourth point is that deploy the application in the respective environment as per the client requirement. If the client wants that that we have to deploy the application to the UAT environment, then obviously we have to deploy the that application to the UAT. Or if they request to deploy the application to the production environment or live environment, then we will deploy the application to the live or production environment. So that means deploy the application in the respective environment. And then last point is that perform a sanity testing in the environment after the application is deployed to ensure the application doesn't break. So what is sanity testing? I'll talk to you later. But as of now, after deploying after deployment, then we have to test the application in a very basic way that the application doesn't break. We have to check some critical functionality. Okay, that our application doesn't break. We have to check that. Okay, and the last phase is that maintenance. So this is the last phase. Deployment we have done. Then we have the last phase is that maintenance. What will done in maintenance phase? Make sure that the application is up and running in the respective environment. Means application we have deployed the application as per the client respective environment or a client requested respective environment. We have already deployed that, and in the maintenance phase we have to make sure that in that environment, respective environment, the application is up and running. The second point is that in case of user encounters and defects, make sure to note and fix the issue first. If any user is facing any type of issues, or if any user they are getting any bug, obviously we have to note that bug, and as a priority we have to fix that bug. So that bug should be fixed first, right? And number 3, in case of any issue is fixed, the updated code is deployed in the environment. Means if any user getting any type of issue, then obviously they will report to our team. Then our team will fix that. The company team will fix that. Then after fixation, we have to make sure that we have tested that issue, and after testing is passed, then again we have to deploy that in the respective environment. And the last point is that the application is always enhanced to incorporate more features, update the environment with the latest features. Obviously, for the tracking purpose, we have to make some version so that we can track or we can update the environment with the latest feature, right? So that is the thing of phases of waterfall model. So now you guys is very clear about what is the waterfall model, what are the phases of waterfall model, and exactly what activity will be done in the different phases of waterfall model. Now, next topic is that when to use SDLC waterfall model. When we will use, or when our company will use the SDLC waterfall model? When? First, when the requirements are not changing frequently. Means, as I've already told you that in the waterfall model, when one phase will done, then the next phase will start. Then like that. So when one phase will done, we cannot revert back to the next phase. We cannot revert back to the previous phase. That means when the requirement gathering and analysis part is done and system design part is started, that means we cannot revert back to the requirement gathering or analysis phase. So if there is any issue is happening on that phase, on the previous phase, all the things will be solved in the maintenance phase only. That is the funda of the waterfall model. So when one phase is done and the next phase will be start, so we cannot revert back to the previous phase. Or if we getting any issues, then obviously that will fixed on the maintenance phase. So when we use the waterfall model, when the requirements are not changing frequently, application is not complicated and big. For the small application, we will use the waterfall model. Application is not complicated and big. And the project is short. Requirement is clear. Environment is stable. Technology and tools which were used are not dynamic and stable. Or resources are available and trained. That time we will not use the SDLC waterfall model. So that is the funda of SDLC waterfall model. So when we will use SDLC waterfall model, that is the main thing. When the project is short, when the requirements are clear, when the environment is stable, when the technology or tools are used in dynamic and stable, or when the resources available are trained. So then we will use the SDLC waterfall model. Then advantages of waterfall model. So what is the advantage? The model is simple and easy to understand. As the picture says that it's a very easy model. First we will collect the requirement, then design, then coding, then testing, then deploy, then maintenance. So very easy way and very easy model. So it's the model is simple and very easy to understand or easy to use, right? Second point is that it is easy to manage due to rigidity of model. Means each phase has specific deliverables and a review process. That's why it's a rigid model. Means why each phase has specific deliverables and a review process? Because when requirement gathering is and analysis is happen, then system design will not happen. That means after one phase is completed, then the next phase will start. That means it's a rigid model, right? So that's why I'm telling you that it's easy to manage due to the rigidity of model. Okay. And the third point is that in this model, phases are processed and completed one at a time. Phases do not overlap. As already guys, I have already told you that why the phases is not overlapping. Third point is that waterfall model works well for smaller project where requirements are clearly defined and very well understood, right? Then disadvantage of waterfall model. Many disadvantages are there. Once an application is in the testing stage, it is very difficult to go back and change something that was not well throughout in the concept stage. That means, suppose I have already told you that. Why? Because when suppose I am on the coding phase, so we cannot revert back to the design phase. So when our developer will do some coding, when the developer they will start the coding, if there is any issue on the design phase, the develop team cannot revert back to the designing team. So that is the very disadvantage, right? So that's why once the application is in the testing phase, it is very difficult to go back and change something that was not well thought out on the concept stage. The second point is that no working software is produced until late during of the life cycle, right? Third point is that high amounts of risks and uncertainty. Why the high amount of risks? Suppose, as I've already told you, one phase is done, the second phase will start, and we cannot revert back to the previous phase. So if there is any issue on the previous phase, that will be not solved. That will be solved only on the maintenance phase. That means after deployment. So it is very risky. So as I've already deployed my software to the live or to the worldwide. So if there is any issue, all user can see that issue. So that is the not a good practice, or that is the not a good way. So that's why it's the high amounts of risks and uncertainty. The next point is that not a good model for complex and object oriented projects. If there is any complex project, so that is not a good model. Then we have to think about some different model, and what is that model I will discuss on the later video. Then poor model for a long and ongoing projects. As of guys, I've already discussed all these things. And then not suitable for the projects where requirements are not a moderate or too high risks or changing. If there is frequent changes of project requirement, then this waterfall model is not the suitable, right? So that is the disadvantage of waterfall model. Okay, so now you guys are very clear about what is the SDLC waterfall model, what are the phases of that, what is the advantage, what is the disadvantage when we use the SDLC waterfall model. So if you guys have any doubt or any query, you can comment, or if you guys like my video, then obviously one thumbs up, and please subscribe my channel EduPet, so you guys can, or please press the bell icon so you guys can update my testing related videos first. So see you in the next video. Thank you.